afternoon, everybody. I think thanks for having us here. I also represent Digital Impact Square, so I think I'll just talk about our experience with Digital Impact Square before I talk about AI. Right. So DISC is a product of the last Kumbh Mela, right? And I think what we have done in DISC is fantastic. It is an initiative which was created with all of you here, right? So whoever has been part of the last Kumbh, thank you a lot, right, for help us create Digital Impact Square. I would also say to all the entrepreneurs who have joined today, there is nothing like the city of Nashik today, right? I personally have seen a lot of innovation ecosystems world over, and also in India. So if you are a startup which is looking at creating solutions for people, the kind of speed with which you can do problem validation, solution validation in city of Nashik is unprecedented. The kind of support you get from administration, the industry, and the companies here is unlike anything. And also what we have learned, see, we have shown this setup to our international customers. Everybody who has come here has been very excited. So you will also be very happy to know that the DISC model also has been replicated in Malaysia today, right, at the country level. It is called Seed.Lab, and it has been sponsored by one of our customers by the name Petronas. Now coming to what I call as future of AI, future with AI. I think you're skipping some slides. Okay. So I think, like some of you know, what is the Moore's law, right? So the Moore's law was invented by a scientist who said that the computing capacity would increase by 2x every decade. See, we are also making predictions saying that with the development in AI, the work capacity will increase 2x every year or a year and a half. I think this is very significant statement because this changes a lot of stuff, which means the way you build software today, your productivity of how you build software will increase 2x every 1.5 years. How the systems you use to do work will also become very smart very quickly. And then I think this also is an idea that as the AI evolves, we as humans also need to evolve. We also need to evolve on how to work with systems like this. Right? It's not necessarily that everybody's ability to use AI to augment their own capabilities will be equal. And as a society, it is our job to make sure that we are able to decrease this variability of how the next generation of humans are able to use AI equally. And we truly have a democratic access to AI. So what has changed? See, what is the whole excitement about AI from last 2 years with generative AI? See, we always had what we call as recognition intelligence, right? Our ability to extract, classify, and categorize information was already there. It has been developing. We had to some extent reasoning intelligence, which is how do we describe, how do we diagnose, how do we predict, and how do we be a little bit prescriptive about what might happen in the future. So what has fundamentally changed is the current evolution of AI to do this at a level of scale which is unprecedented, and its ability to learn from the entire knowledge of the world. But see, what this is again a meta pattern for all the entrepreneurs. See, don't think about AI as a tool for improving productivity. It is not about you to do things faster. The whole idea of AI is that you should be able to make good people great, average people better, right? And if it is the meta pattern, if you keep in mind, you will be able to innovate better. As you know, so far, still some time back, we had what we call as narrow AI, right? And that AI was trained for a purpose. It always required a lot of time and resources to train. It always had a high incremental cost, right, for training it for a purpose. What we are also seeing now is the development of what we call as a broad AI. I think instance of this is the large language model, which many of you are experimenting with. It has been trained on volume of the content from internet and to some extent private repositories as well. So this is, you can think of kind of packaging the entire knowledge of internet. This is essentially repackaging internet for you in a very different manner. The good thing is about this is that these have been trained for broad applicability and language understanding. So the barrier to work with this AI has reduced. Right? Earlier generation of AI, you had to be trained for many years to be able to create value. The bar to entry barrier to start using this AI is also decreasing. And of course, it's also evolving into multimodality versus what the previous generation of AI, which could work on one kind of data, one kind of modality. Now do you have multimodality? Right? I think, see, but there is a problem here. See, what is the problem with this generation of AI, which is also developing? So there are a couple of problems, like when you look at something like ChatGPT, right? See, what it is doing is it's actually consuming content which is out there. And where is this content coming from? This content is coming from most of the content which is created in the Western world, right? Unfortunately, there are cultures like us who have not been documenting our traditional knowledge, unique way of doing things very well, right? So essentially what happens in this context is when you essentially take an AI which has been trained largely on the content which is available and created mostly in the Western world, you do come with issues, right? Both from when you innovate for your own enterprise, also if you innovate for your solutions for society like us. And that is essentially also an opportunity for us, right? So when you, so any kind of work when you do, the tacit knowledge plays a big role. And unfortunately, tacit knowledge is what you acquire after you graduate from your college and spend time in a particular organization, or if you're in government, you have been spending time, you acquire knowledge, and typically this knowledge is not documented very well. And this is something which is very significant. How do you capture tacit knowledge, right? And combine this what we call as a world-wise knowledge. So world-wise knowledge is what your ChatGPT, OpenAI has, and how do you combine that with your unique enterprise tacit knowledge? That creates what we call as the perfect storm or perfect capability for you to innovate. And also I think there will be a lot of discussion on, there are questions on whether AI would replace humans or whether AI should replace humans. So those are two different questions. So our view is, at least for near term to mid futures, what we believe is AI job should be to augment humans. And why that is important is, right? I think, see, if you look at any kind of work today, see whether you look at a doctor, engineer, software developer, health professional, there is a variance in quality. The best doctor and the average doctor, the best average developer and the top software developer, we have found, like for example, if you look at software quality, there is a 1000x difference in the quality of how people develop software. See, the AI job, if you're thinking of AI, using AI, don't think in terms of productivity, means how quickly and how many instances of your software you could create. Think about how can you augment and make people great, right? If you have an average developer, how can you make them better? And if you start thinking about that meta pattern, you will probably build the right kind of AI. You will start building the right kind of AI systems. And I think this is something which is, I feel, where we have a significant opportunity with AI. So there was a scientist by name Benjamin Bloom, right, who discovered that one-on-one coaching, right, will actually transforms education, transforms learning. Right, and it's nothing new for people in India, right? A lot of parents have sent their kids to one-on-one tutoring, right? And then you find that one-on-one tutoring always works with students in a generic classroom, because the classroom setting is always set up for what we call as the average student. Right? So if you are not an average student, if you're less than average, it is too fast. If it is better than average, it is too slow. And there's also various learning style. Right? So this research showed that if you could do one-on-one coaching, right, you could do excellent in education. And in fact, this is now possible with AI. And in fact, Khan Academy with their Khan Migo is trying to do this. So this, if you apply this as a pattern within your enterprise, within the systems you are building, the systems you are building for making people better, you realize that this is something you could do extremely well, right? And this is where I feel there is a global opportunity to build systems which are very adaptive. And as I said, as the AI grows, the humans have to grow faster to adopt the systems, and then and their ability to learn these systems and adapt these systems would vary. And so it's very important for us to build systems which make this transition faster for people. Just a case in point, right? So this is this is the work of, I think some of you know, this is architect. This architect has been trained on what you call as the computational architecture. Right now, the quality of work this person is able to do with AI diffusion tool like Midjourney is very different, right? So this is again a point where if you don't augment humans, you will have problems, right? But then we will have good people become greater, but we will also leave a lot of people behind, right? And leaving people behind is not a happy scenario. So in this AI transition, we're going to have a lot of issues, which is this technology is not going to be affordable to everybody, right? And this is, we have seen in the past transition, whether it was the internet transition, with the digital transition, we have left a lot of our people behind, right? People in rural spaces, we have left farmer behind, and there is many reasons for it. One is the cost of technology. Second is the kind of nature of governments we have, right? The market models we have. We are not able to build robust market models for people at the bottom of the pyramid. So AI could amplify this problem further. Second is this problem of monocultural, right? Which is again the way these AIs are getting trained, unless we as a country step in, right? With making sure that at least these broad AIs are trained with our unique knowledge, our unique systems. We would be adapting systems from outside which will not work for us. Monopoly, I think this is again Professor Askar was saying, unless we step in with our own sovereign AI, right? If you don't invest in our own creating AI at different level, right? And then we rely only on what is available out there from global players. First of all, they will not work. Our ability to work with the systems in our context will be highly compromised. I think there are other threats like safety and perception. I think it is well known that these issues will have problem. Other is, although we are seeing this next generation AI by design using in natural language, but adapting this technology for humans at scale is not a simple problem. So again, I think for the entrepreneurs here, if you do work on the experience of this technology for people, again, a very significant opportunity. And of course, there are other issues, right? Whether we can recover from catastrophic failure of these AIs when the system goes online. If you take any combination of these, right, you can build a startup. Right, so I would leave you there with this thought. And we as Digital Impact Square, we are very excited to be part of this. We have a setup which was in city. We are moving it to one of our great partners, Shadri Farm. So do visit us. We have the larger TCS research team, which will be made available for anybody who wants to have deeper discussions on research topics when you're innovating. I also run the TCS's Global Innovation Network, which comprises of global startup innovation ecosystem and global academia. So any help any of you need in your journey of entrepreneurship in the city and beyond, do reach out to us. Thank you.